Hello, everyone. This is Nidal, Season 2, Episode 10, with a very special and amazing guest. I know it's been over a month from my last episode, but it's worth the wait. My guest for today, she's a coach, mentor, and international speaker. She gets visibility for CEOs and corporates on LinkedIn using driven content. She's the CEO and founder of Tima Media and Consulting. Her vision is to help others truly understand that their potential is limitless. She helps you step into your greatness. Let's all welcome Tima Elhajj live from Australia.
Thank you, Nidal. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Tima. First, let me welcome you in Arabic, as you are also Lebanese. أهلا وسهلا Tima, شرفتينا. Uh,
Sharafina, thank you.
I'm so happy that you are with us today. I know it's so early. You are in a different day. It's Sunday in Australia, and we
Sunday
are
morning.
we are Saturday afternoon in East Coast New York. Welcome, Tima, and I hope everything is fine in Australia, COVID wise. Everybody is healthy and safe. How's the situation these days in Australia? Is it coming back to normal?
No, it's not actually. We've kind of regressed backwards, unfortunately. We don't have that many cases, but they're very, very conservative here for some reason. And there are many states that are in lockdown. We were recently back in lockdown, and we've only just been recently sort of released out of lockdown, but we still have quite heavy restrictions within Victoria. That's where I live. So there are plenty of other states in Australia that are experiencing lockdown again, unfortunately. So it's not the most positive, if that makes sense. The reality is at the moment the country is shut down, unfortunately. So we'll see how it goes the next few weeks. But that's literally the situation that we're in right now.
This also scares me in New York. You see now everybody not wearing masks, and last couple of days the CDC guidelines is advising people to wear masks again, even with the vaccination. So all what we need is more prayers for to break through all this pandemic. Uh, where would you like to start, Tima? Tima today or Tima back in 2018? What do you prefer to start talking about your
Wherever you
journey?
want, wherever you want. Honestly, I'm here. It's your show. Wherever you would like to start. So I'm happy to start wherever you want.
Tima, first, I want to thank you for the support. Being with me on the show means the world to me. I really appreciate your contribution to the platform. And by the way,
It's my
I'm
honor, Nadal. It's my
uh,
honor. Let me just quickly just let everyone know, like you're such a kind and supportive person. Like, how could I not want to come onto your show? It's actually my honor to be on your show. So thank you very much for inviting me along.
you're welcome. You're welcome, Tima. Tima, back in June 2018, I read an article for you on LinkedIn. The title was "Death is the Only Guarantee in Life." And you advised within the article not to make our circumstances more important than our soul. My question is, was this article related uh, to your decision leaving the financial planning industry and create your own business from scratch beside launching your podcast?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Anything that I really share it stems from my own personal experience to some degree. That was not a very long article, by the way, and I did not expect it to do as well as it did. So that was a very interesting share at the time. But when I did write that down, it was in a way kind of like a little bit of a post-it note for me,
Mhm.
like, hey, Tima, it's not even about life is short, it's that life is valuable and that God has given you this opportunity to do something really important of greatness. And when I say importance, it doesn't have to be, celebrity status or anything like that. It is of some kind of contribution, not just to the world, but for your own soul, because, the things that we do in the world shouldn't just be to bring joy to others. It should also to feed joy within our own selves as well. So at the time, and also, I'm Muslim, so for me, the way I look at things is that I believe that, God has put us here for a reason, and we shouldn't ignore that. We all have something incredibly special to share, and they are a gift. And it's almost saying to God, what you've given me is not good enough, so I'm not going to use that. And so I look at that as an opportunity that God has given me a gift just like everyone else. And that the circumstances part is not giving myself those excuses, whether it be my insecurities or, the situation that I'm in. So it was really coming from a place of, you've experienced so much in your life, and there was definitely a period of my life around that time or just before that time where I genuinely felt as though I didn't really know what I was going to be doing with my life anymore. And that was a huge reminder of, well, no more excuses. My soul is important. My fulfillment is important. My happiness is important. And stop making excuses and just try and just see where it takes you. So that's really where that article comes from. And yes, death is the only guarantee in life. Nothing else is guaranteed. I can work every single day very, very hard. There's no guarantee I'll be successful. There is no guarantee, but there is the guarantee of death one day. And that's what we all have in common as human beings. And it's very humbling to know that. Like we look at other people and think, wow, look how amazing they are. We're human at the end. We're all human. So they're no different to you and I. And that's another thing we have in common is obviously we're human, but the death component is something that it really is a reminder for me personally anyway. So
Wow. Did you follow your soul leads back then? And that's why you pivot from the. To be honest with you, leaving the financial industry, it's a seductive industry itself. You can do great in that, and I think you worked like 14 years in this industry.
it
And
was about, just over 16 years. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did a double degree in business. I also did another diploma in financial planning. So I did a lot of study. So there was a lot of work involved. Um, but in terms of like, did I follow my soul? I didn't for a very long time. And I forgot to do that. I didn't know how to do that anymore. I know that sounds a little bit, maybe a bit silly to some people, but I could not tune into myself anymore. I didn't know how to read my own thoughts. I didn't know how to read my own intuition, my gut feeling. That gut feeling that we have, when it
yeah,
helps us make decisions. I didn't know I didn't know how to read that anymore. I just didn't trust myself anymore. And that came from ignoring myself for so long that it became a habit. It became a natural way of thinking, a natural way of living. So no, I wasn't listening, and I still have to remind myself that it's a skill that I need to remind myself constantly. That even that slightest bit of it could be just a little bit of discomfort, just like half a second, whatever that might be. It's not even discomfort, but just something that you feel in your body. uh, it's all those little cues that we need to tune into, and I always remind myself that I need to do that. And it's something that I don't want to go back to the place where I ignored myself so much that I, even making the smallest decision, I could not trust myself because I didn't believe I could make the right decision, which sounds very interesting actually, because if you had met me even back then, I came across extremely confident. I always have. So it's never been an issue for people to not think I was strong or confident, but inside I felt completely different. So that's very interesting. Even like when I think about it, because even if I had met myself many years ago, I'd be like, wow, she's so confident. But I really wasn't. I was kind of like just going with the flow and trying to figure things out as I go. But there definitely was a long, long time where I knew that I wasn't, I guess, I wasn't in tune with myself. And I know we all go through that. So it wasn't just my own experience. Like everyone goes through that at some stage in their life.
What drove you to take this important life-changing decision?
Oh, oh my
If
goodness,
if
so much happened. So much happened.
about what was you vulnerable by that time? Um, did you feel
Yeah.
did you feel vulnerable?
Yeah, you get to a point where so many things happen in your life. And for me, one, motherhood changed me, I have to say. You know, Alhamdulillah, I have a beautiful daughter, and she's like everything to
How old
me.
is she now?
She's 11, so she will,
Just like my
she
daughter.
she runs out. Look, our kids run our life,
Yeah,
don't they? Like they're such a blessing, such a blessing. Like
it is.
I literally feel that my daughter is a blessing to me. She like that God chose me to be her mother. Anyone could have had her in this entire universe, but I get to be her mother, and I'm so honored and so blessed. And every day I always say Alhamdulillah that she's my
Mm.
daughter. So motherhood definitely changed me, and after that, unfortunately, I had some other miscarriages. So those situations, something shifted inside of me, and I can't explain. I can't say it was a one situation. There were many things that had happened that led up to that moment. But as I was saying, Nadal, for a long time I kept ignoring, pushing, ignoring, pushing. But then I think you get to a certain point in your life where you're like, okay, something needs to change here. And it was at that point of desperation. So I got to that point where it was at that point of desperation, and I said, okay, I can't live like this anymore because I'm responsible for this beautiful child. And as we know, whoever's a parent out there, or even if they're not a parent, they've got siblings or other children that look up to them, kids learn from our actions
Yeah,
more than us sitting down and giving them the philosophy of life. They don't learn that
absolutely.
way. They learn from our actions. And so that really scared me. And I thought, okay, if I uh, am going to continue down this path, what am I going to give my daughter? What am I teaching her? What am I guess, what is she going to inherit without me being intentional about it? So for me, it was a very, very important moment where I said, okay, I can't do this anymore. I need to make a change in my life. But it wasn't easy. It literally took me a very long time to really make the decision to leave the industry, because I'll be honest with you, Nadal, my parents were very proud of me. Not that they're not anymore, because they obviously are, but they took so much pride. Even though I wasn't living with them anymore, even though I'm not like their little teeny girl anymore, but if they introduced me to people, they wouldn't use my name. This is our daughter Tima. They'd be like, "This is our daughter. She's a financial planner." You know how the
That's
Arabs
that,
are. They're very proud of their children. So
yeah, that's why in between brackets, it's really a very courageous decision to leave this industry. Remember, like I know I have clients here in New York. They are in the industry. They are doing great. So leaving this industry, you really have to be passionate about the destination you are heading to, and you proved it within 2 years. What you are doing, what you are bringing, your podcast, your keynote speaking tells a lot. And I think the influence you are bringing out is tremendous.
but you know what's really interesting about that? Thank you for sharing all of that. I I when I left financial planning, or when I decided to finally leave, uh, all I had was a very simple course that I was looking at selling, and I guess mentoring people through. But my focus was my podcast. That was my pure focus. And the podcast was there purely because I wanted to communicate my mission through my interviews, through the work that I was doing. I had no idea that everything that I was going to do on LinkedIn was going to happen the way it did. So
You
I didn't
didn't
leave
plan it
financial.
then.
No, 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 not at all. I didn't leave financial planning going, I'm going to be this person on LinkedIn and I'm going to do all of these sort of things. All it was, okay, I'm leaving financial planning, which is scary, but now my focus is my podcast, because I had like all these other things, all these other doors open. Just in case this doesn't work out, I'll still have this. Just in case, I'll still have this. So I closed everything, got rid of all of the things that I was working on, because I even had a fashion label as well.
Yeah.
And I was running networking groups, and I was doing a number of things. I basically said, no, everything has to stop, and I cannot become successful at anything unless I'm going to focus on the one thing. So that's what I did. But in the process, um, I to promote my podcast, I had to do a video, and that's where it all really started. I had no idea that what I was about to do was going to potentially change my life, but also create a new business for myself. I did not wake up saying I'm going to be teaching and helping CEOs become thought leaders on LinkedIn. That was an evolution. That really that that blessing came to me. So I didn't promote myself or anything like that. It literally just came to me. So I those opportunities came my way. I had companies watching me. I had one of the largest property companies here in Australia, actually. They found me through my content, and I didn't know that they were watching. People, there are many people that complain about, oh, nobody, I don't get as many likes or comments, but you don't know who's watching you. At the
Yeah.
time, I didn't have very many people watching me, but I had this massive company watching me. And then suddenly I got this message one day and they said, oh, we'd love to work with you. And I'm like, oh
Wow.
my goodness. But if I ever approached them, they may never have said yes. But this is the beauty of, I guess, putting yourself out there, but still being very intentional about it. I didn't post videos just to post videos and talk
You.
about, this is what I'm doing today, and I'm going for a walk. It was never like that. I never wanted to be that person.
Mhm.
But when this company approached me, it made me realize, and I said, okay, uh, maybe I can make a business out of this. Now, at the time, the company had no idea that I had nothing to offer them. As in, technically, I didn't have like a product to give them, but I have enough experience in the corporate world. I said, you know what, I'll just figure it out. I'll just walk in, see what they want, and I'll just create something for them. And that's exactly what I did.
Wow.
So yeah, so that kind of just kind of happened. It was very interesting how that all happened.
Any regrets, Tima, from uh, if
From
you go
leaving
back,
financial
if
planning,
you go
or
back in time, would you change anything? Would you expedite anything? And you can pass the the question if you want the answer.
yeah, no, I find it interesting when people say, no, I have no regrets. I don't know about that. For me, of course, there is one regret, or one thing I wish had happened. When I was a lot younger, I've always been very, very career driven, always. And I'm a Lebanese. My background is Lebanese. I come from
Wow.
a very traditional, quite strict family, and I live in a Western country. So it's 1,000 times worse when you live in a Western country and you have Middle Eastern parents. They really protect you. So I had a really amazing job opportunity in Dubai, and this is when Dubai wasn't
Wow.
even anything important.
Mhm.
This was like, I was in my early
Before the
20s.
90s, huh? Around the
It
90s,
was it was in
late
the
90s.
early 2000s. Yeah, it was in the early 2000s, and I was in the shipping industry at the time. And I can speak Arabic, I can speak English,
Mhm.
and I was dealing with a company at the time for work. And anyway, one thing led to another. They basically offered me a position. Everything was paid for, apartment, everything. Told my parents I wanted to go, and they're like, "No, that's never
No.
going to happen."
Now
Now,
The Lebanese mentality is talking.
the proper, yeah, the proper, no, no, no,
Yeah.
as they say in Arabic, ما عندنا بنات, بيتركوا البيت, like, ما عندنا بنات
معنا بنات.
يسافروا. Yeah, so, and I'm like, no, but I'm not going to go party. I'm not going. I never did any of that. Like I just wanted to go make some money, meet some successful people, and build a career for myself. Like that's why I
Right.
wanted to go. And my dad's like, no way, that's never going to happen. So I listened to them. I wish I wasn't such a good girl. I wish, I wish that I had just said, you know what, my parents will forgive me. I need to go do this, and they'll be fine because I know why I'm going there. I'm not going to go do anything stupid. I just wanted to build a really good especially a financial foundation for myself because I could see the opportunity in
Yeah.
Dubai. So that's really my only regret. But everything else, it just happens. Whatever happens in your life, you just go with it. But I do at times remind them that I'll never forgive them for not letting me go to Dubai.
How important to have supporters around us. I watched a video for you. You mentioned how supporting brother you have. How important in our success to have somebody to support us. In other ways, Tima Elhajj, did you build your success in a solo mode, or there was supporters for you?
That's a really good question. So I don't think anyone can build anything completely on their own without support. We need some kind of support. That's not to say that you can't do it on your own. Did I technically build the business on my own? Yes, I did. Did I get advice from people that I love that are close to me? Not necessarily, because they haven't built what I'm building, if that makes sense. So I can't really ask them for advice. I
Okay.
get feedback sometimes. Do I want them to, I guess, be proud of the work I'm doing? I would say so for sure. But I think just as humans, we're social creatures. We do want support. We do want to at least be acknowledged to some degree. So I think that's really important. But I mean, people see me as successful, but honestly, Nidal, like I don't even feel that yet. I just don't. Have so much to still build, and have my dreams are still huge, and they just get bigger and bigger all the time. And I honestly cannot build this on my own, even though I am at the moment. I do have, a team and all of that, but I would love to be able to build something with somebody. But at this stage, it's me. I'm building this myself. But the family is always there. My parents still don't completely understand what I do. They're so cute. They think that I have, like NBC, they just refer to me as like a host that interviews really important people. Like everything else, I don't really understand. And what's so interesting now, if I had mentioned to my parents when I was younger, which I did actually at one point, that I wanted to be on TV, that was a
نحن
big no.
نحن ما عندنا
Big no.
بنات يطلعوا على تي في.
No, 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 exactly right. Where now my parents would be okay with it, but that's what happens, when you get older and wiser, and life changes, you change, the world changes. But yeah, that's pretty much how my parents think when it comes to what I do. Like if my dad asks me, he goes, "Sure, how are your interviews going?" So everything else, it doesn't really make much sense to them. Not because they're not intelligent, it's just it's not the they're not familiar with it. It's not an industry they're
Yeah,
familiar with.
it's
So
what weren't familiar with what's going on social media these days.
that's right.
It's revolutionary. Every day there's something new. There's new approaches. And Tima, did Tima Designs contributed to your elegant and confident look on social media? Being in the fashion industry for 4 or 5 years, uh, the minute we see Tima on social media, our eye is attracted how everything looks great. And then the content comes and the value also is provided. Does this is it part of your personality, or working in the fashion makes you look this sharp, confident, and always good looking on social media?
Well, firstly, I'm Lebanese. That's the
Yeah,
first thing that we need to say. That's the first thing we need to say. We're all very much about, the finer details, aren't we? The Middle Eastern people in general, we love luxury. We love beautiful things. That's just in our nature. That's definitely one thing I want to mention, and I'm very proud of my Middle Eastern background.
background.
Uh, but to answer your question, I've always been very focused on my appearance, but not in a negative way, if that makes sense. I've always understood the power of how you can influence people by the way you carry yourself,
Yeah.
and not just by the way you dress, but by the way you behave, by the way you sit, by the way you speak. By the way you uh, give your attention to somebody, respect somebody. I've always been very in tune with that from when I was really quite young. But naturally, as a female, and being in the finance industry as well, I've always wanted to look good for work. I've always wanted to feel powerful in the clothes that I wear. So that's really where it stems from. The fashion part kind of just that's just an extension of my character.
Hmm.
But I love being feminine. I love dressing in an elegant way. I mean, people do describe me as an elegant person, so it must be just a natural part of how I am. And so for me, I think just making the most of your appearance and taking care of yourself is extremely important. It shows a lot of self-respect and a lot of self-love, and people naturally they just have more respect for you. That's just how the world works, whether we like it or not. That's just how it is. So I do think it's important, and I do place a lot of importance on it, because who doesn't like a nice background or a nice hairstyle or a nice outfit? We all do. So yeah, that's hopefully answers your question.
Are you a perfectionist?
I am. I'm
You
not
are.
going to say that I'm not. I am to some degree. I would say I was definitely a perfectionist many years ago. Oh, if you had asked me this question 2 or 3 years ago, I'd say yes, I'm 100% perfectionist. But now I would say that I strive for excellence more than perfection, because I know I can never get to a perfection
Perfection.
destination, because it really stops me from progressing. So the way I look at things is I'm a high achiever. I have high expectations, high standards, and that's what I live up to, not necessarily perfection anymore. And I think striving for excellence is a lot more realistic than perfection, because perfection doesn't exist, but excellence does, or at least striving for it does, because that allows me to have that growth mindset mentality, have that student mindset. Well, if I'm striving for excellence, that means I'm learning as I go, as opposed to everything has to be perfect, everything has to be a certain way. And again, being Middle Eastern, a lot of us are brought up that way, aren't we? That everything, has to be done a certain way, everything has to be perfect. So naturally, I was brought up that way. But breaking free from that, and looking at just wanting to do the best at all times, is really, really important. Like even sometimes, and we all get a little bit lazy. I'm like, okay, even doing my bed, I have to do it in the best possible
And
way.
best
I
possible.
want to put in the effort. I say that to my daughter all the time. Whether you like something or not, if you put in the effort, you'll feel happier about whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's a task that you like or not. So, and I always say, with housework, for example, housework isn't fun, but if you put in the effort, it may not be as painful to do the housework.
Wow. Tima, I want to talk about your business. You and your team, you help CEOs and corporations to create the social currency and brand awareness. Can you uh, tell us how do you do that?
Okay, so basically, the result that I want to get from my client, it's not about lead generation,
Mhm.
because I don't do lead generation. That's not to say that what we create for a client doesn't generate leads, But my focus for the client is mostly just to explain these CEOs or these clients. They're quite successful. They already have a successful business. They're not desperate to, be a celebrity. They're not desperate to get likes and views and become this big person, and they're not desperate to generate business either. So they're in a position of, I have something valuable to share and I want to educate people on this. And I'd love to be known for this thing, whatever that is. And that's where the thought leadership comes into play. So the way we do it is we really try and, one, tap into that person's emotional intelligence, whether it be the person that we're working with, but also their audience. So that's really one big focus. We look at their purpose, their vision, and their mission. So yeah, everything we do is on LinkedIn, but it's not LinkedIn, if that makes sense. It's all very much based on a psychological perspective, if that makes sense. So we look at the mindset, we look at really the person's character. We really try as much as we possibly can infuse that person's character in every piece of content. And I overlook all of the content that is done for the clients. Doesn't matter how many I'm looking after, everything is looked over by me, and the strategy is looked over by myself. And the team is responsible for doing the content and doing the graphic design, all that sort of, or everything else. The client basically shows up, and I explain to them what I want them to do in terms of video and those sort of things and topics. And we have our team that does all the copywriting, all of that. But how do we do it? Is mainly, we don't talk about their products and services. That's a pretty key thing. I want my clients to become magnets. We touched on elegance before, Nidal. They don't ask for business. I want them to. I want them to be at their best, and I want them to be the person that people are attracted to, that people come to them, people want to do business with them. So there is definitely a way. There are a couple of things that I do in the background for those things to happen. They're the things that I do with my own content. I never sell. I never say sign up for my course or do anything like that, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's just not the approach that I personally want to take. And that's the same approach that I take for my clients. So we position them in a way where those opportunities come to them. But most importantly, the visibility piece isn't just visibility on LinkedIn. We want them to get noticed by other people, whether they're in media or whether they're in podcasting, or whether they're organizations that have speaking events and things like that. So all of those things, I want that to be coming to my clients through their content, and it actually works out really, really well. So, and we work in many different industries. So it's not just finance. I mean, finance is definitely one industry, but we work construction.
There's no limits.
Cars, no limit at all. So, so there's no what works. Do you just work in this one industry? No, we cover many different industries, which is really exciting.
I loved how do you address it? You want your clients to be magnets. It's really impressive to hear that. Do you reshape the why of organizations? Do you contribute to that?
Yeah, sometimes I do, and sometimes I forget what their purpose is. And this is what's really interesting, is that we all think that these larger companies, again, have it all together, or they know exactly what they're doing, but they have the same challenges like a lot of us do. They're just wanting to get the business, and they're focusing on their everyday. So they forget the bigger picture. They forget why they started things in the first place. And sometimes they're completely disconnected from that. So there are definitely moments where we do help them either reconnect or reframe whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. And it's a really, really important step to take, because much like anything in life, if you're not connected to it, you're not going to be naturally motivated to do it, if that makes sense. You're going to lose that passion, lose that drive. So it's a really important conversation to have, not just for the content that we're producing, but for them in their own everyday life, doing whatever it is that they need to do.
Tima, I know we only have half an hour, and I have several pages to cover. I'm gonna try
you
to
can ask a few
compress
more
it.
questions.
Tima, going to your website, timaelhajj.com, you offer coaching for 12 weeks, and also you have the free strategy sessions for 1 hour. Uh,
Yeah.
it's your business website, uh,
Yes.
and you
It's a
lead.
very old website which I'm updating as we speak. So yes. So go ahead, Nidal.
Yeah, you lead your clients into their greatness, and uh, there is a very nice saying under your name on the webpage. Your potential is limitless. Is our potential limitless?
I really do believe it is. It is. You know, as humans, we're not created to be stagnant. We're just not. And as soon as we are stagnant, whether it be physically or mentally, what happens? Our physical health declines, our mental health declines. I mean, look at what happens in the lockdown.
Yeah,
That's not great for our mental health or our physical health. So
or
we
social
weren't,
health. Yeah,
or social health. So we weren't born to be stagnant. We were born to evolve. And with evolution requires action and learning and growing and trying different things and taking some risks. They can be calculated risks as well. And when you look at the time that we live in and the technology that we have access to, so how could our potential not be limitless? Because we literally
yeah,
can be whoever we want to be right now. We can decide to change industries, much like I have. I'm not saying I can become a doctor or a surgeon overnight because I need a lot of study for that. But if I wanted to get into, say, okay, like I obviously left the financial planning
new
industry,
business. Yeah,
naturally progressed into, say, the marketing space or however you want to categorize my business. Who would have thought you could have done that 10 years ago? You would have said, absolutely not. But we can do that now. So our potential is limitless as long as we allow ourselves to believe so. And the only way we can do that is by proving that to ourselves and having the courage to try different things and have the courage to have that growth mindset, have the mindset of a student and all of those sort of things. So it's like when we were children, we didn't limit ourselves, did we? When you wanted to jump out of a tree, you didn't go,
yeah.
oh gosh, maybe let me think about this. Let me have a think. How am I going to land? How high is this tree? No, we just jumped. So naturally, as we get older and as we say, wiser, maybe not so wiser, we limit ourselves so much more. So we just live in an amazing time right now. Put the pandemic aside, there is still lots and lots of opportunity. We still have access to this technology that's broken down so many barriers
Yeah.
in many different industries. So you don't have to have certain qualifications anymore. You don't have to know certain people anymore. You can do really anything you want and just try and see what happens. I mean, for the podcast, for example, Nidal, this is so funny. Well, I find it funny anyway.
I miss
Um,
I miss your episodes. You've been away from February.
Yes, I have. I have taken a bit of a break because we've had a quite a lot of illness in the family, unfortunately. My dad's been very, very sick
Oh,
and
I'm sorry to hear that.
that's okay. Thank you. Inshallah, he'll get well soon.
Inshallah.
Who knows? But my attention has been, I've got so much to do, and I can't compromise everything,
All right.
if that makes sense. So something had to compromise, and unfortunately, it was my podcast. But it is going to make a comeback very, very soon. So because it's my real passion. That's really my real passion. So yeah. So thank you for bringing that up because I love it when people say that they miss it because I miss it too, and it will definitely be coming back very soon.
And Tima, how do you see Tima Elhajj looking forward?
Looking forward. My dreams are so big, Nadal. I really want to build an empire. I feel like I'm building an empire. What that looks like, I'm not 100% clear on. But what I know is the impact it's going to have on my family, number one.
Number one.
And I want to free my family, and finance comes with that. We can't pretend that money is not important because it is. It's not everything, but
It's
it's
not, yeah.
important. And like, for example, my father is not 100% well right now, and what can help is uh is having more money, where you can provide more assistance, more health assistance, whether whatever my dad needs. There's a lot of money involved in that. So, but in terms of my business, I really feel that I'm building something really important here, and I'm going in that direction, and I'm doing the things that I need to do every single day. I really feel it's going to make a massive change in the world. My podcast is a huge part of that plan. It's a massive part of that plan, actually, because I've realized more and more that my communication is really needed. I didn't know how important it was when I first started, but I
Yeah.
know it's really important, and I'm focusing on that, and I am harnessing and leveraging off that as much as I can, because that's my natural gift, if that makes sense, Nidal. That's my natural ability, which I didn't realize was my strength for a long, long time. But I really see myself building an empire, changing people's lives, and also giving my daughter the best life possible. And hopefully, she can learn some things along the way that her mum's taught her in the process. But I mean, look, my dreams are so big. If I were to explain them to you now, I'd have to go in so much detail, but they're huge. They're huge.
We have to dream big, right? And you are making a big difference, Tima. Me, as a follower and a big fan for your work, for your value, for the leads you bring. I can tell that you are making a big difference. Tima, I want you to tell me what's the first thing comes to your mind. I'm gonna give you 4 words and tell me what you first think about. Ready?
Hmm. Hmm.
First thing is money,
Family,
family,
happiness,
entrepreneurship,
change.
and finally, Team Elhajj.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, what would I say to that. That's hard. That one's hard. I would say mother and
Wow,
protector.
I got goosebumps. Tima, I'm sorry to keeping you late
No,
out of
it's my
the.
pleasure. I know
Uh,
it's late. I know it's late for you as well. So
no,
it's my pleasure.
it's still 6 p.m. So I still
6
have
p.m.
to do the dishes, laundry, and my wife is so strict. Yeah.
Oh,
Ti-
lucky her.
Tima, Tima, I can't thank you enough for this amazing, wonderful episode. And I want to make a wish in public that I will host you again in the future
Inshallah.
to deconstruct your continuous success.
Thank you. Thank you,
It's
Nadal. I really appreciate you having me on the show, and you're so easy to talk to. Your questions were fantastic. So thank you for making my experience enjoyable on your show.
Thank you, and wish your dad will be well soon, and
Thank you.
stay safe.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye bye. That was Tima Alhaj, direct from Australia. Tima is really an amazing person, leader, coach, mentor, and she really knows how to let us understand our potential. I enjoyed chatting with her. It was amazing, and it was an epic episode. By the end of this live stream, I want to stop by what happened a year ago, basically in August 4th, 2020, and what is known as the a huge blast in Lebanon, in the capital. There was a big explosion that happened in August 4, 2020. And the reason why this explosion happened, it's still under investigation. And because in Lebanon, everything is different, everything is corrupted. I don't think they're gonna know what. But what is important back then, a year ago, look to the numbers, what happened. This blast caused 215 deaths and over 7,500 injuries. 300,000 people in moments became homeless. The property damages that occurred due to that exceeds 15 billion US dollars. And after a year, nothing happened. Nobody knows what happened. But what we all know is Lebanon is suffering, and all what I want is to send my prayers to all the families and all the casualties, family members that suffered from that blast. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today. That was episode 10 of season 2, Nidal Haykal Live. We were live on YouTube and LinkedIn with a very special guest, Tima Elhajj. Stay safe, everybody, and enjoy your weekend. And hopefully, we will see you soon with amazing guest.